Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. This will be another laid back video. I'm just gonna be kind of ripping into some of these idiots on Reddit. Um, you know how people can be on Reddit, bro. Always talking shit. Especially with my favorite movie series right here, Avatar. So, um, getting into it. So basically, Fire and Ash is not going to cross. Um, Fire and Ash is not going to cross that 2 billion mark that a lot of people were thinking or hoping or expecting it to. It's going to get pretty damn close. If we check right here, you can see it's about 20 million off of hitting 1.5 billion, which is still a hell of a haul. I mean, James Cameron uh, will never not be the biggest moneymaker. His movies connect with people. Uh, you know, they're multi-generational. They're four quadrant. Anybody can watch them and get something out of them. Uh, so it's hit 400 million domestic, so that's Canada and the US. And then it's hit over 1 billion internationally. And usually I use this website, but I guess it's been under maintenance. It hasn't worked in like a week. I'm not really sure what's up. But, anyways, so yeah, it's not quite doing the numbers people expected. People expected it to be like generally 1.6 to 1.8 was kind of the general ballpark. Maybe 2 billion if legs are really good. But it opened at 89 million or 89 million, yeah. So I think that was a little bit less than the first Avatar, or it might have been more than the first Avatar, and um, or actually no, I think Avatar 1 opened at 100 million, and Way of Water opened at 130. Uh, so Way of Water had a pretty good opening compared to the other two, but obviously the first one had the most legs, which you'd actually be able to see if this was working, because you can compare different movies and their trajectory. Um, so the opening was a little depressed, but the legs are just about as good as the other ones, just as much as Way of Water 1 and or Avatar 1 and Way of Water. Um, and then, people will come on here and, a lot of them are being pretty rational. Like, I wish I could fail like these films fail. Because could you imagine, you know, uh, your expectations being 2 bill and you're only 500 million off from that? I mean, it's just crazy. I think Avatar has just leveled out as its own normal, uh, like baseline box office gross. It's leveled out. I don't want to say like any other franchise, because these movies are pretty unique. They're a lot different than Mission Impossible or the MCU or um, other franchises. But I just don't. It really rubs me the wrong way when people, call out like a quote unquote lack of rewatchability, and most folks don't want to go back. And this is one of the most annoying things, because when someone says something that, like, they have a little twinge of truth, but really it's still it's missing the point just barely. Yes, absolutely. It's not as rewatchable as the first one or Way of Water, I don't think. Um, I definitely think it's better than the first one. I would obviously have my ranking as like Way of Water, Fire and Ash, and then Avatar. And it absolutely is rewatchable, though. It's just not quite. You see it 7, 8, 9, 10 times in theaters like the first two. It's more of a you see it maybe 3, 4 times, and then you've gotten enough of it. Um, I saw it 4 times in IMAX. I saw it by myself. I saw it with one of my friends, and then I saw it with two of my friends, and then I saw it by myself, all three in IMAX 3D. And I would have seen it a fifth time if they actually had 3D screenings. My theater went down to one 2D screening, or I think it was a few 2D screenings per day, and that really, really frustrated me because they have an IMAX theater and they're playing like Wuthering Heights and whatever else in there, And Wuthering Heights is just a fine movie. I don't need that shit in IMAX. Avatar absolutely should have had screens playing well into March. That's the way it was with Way of Water. I'm not sure why they chose to change. I mean, I definitely understand it's making less money, so you're going to pull screenings. Okay, well, at least keep the 3D screenings. This movie is not a 2D movie. That's what makes it special and what makes it precious being in theaters in 3D. You can't get that at home. So, yes, I get them pulling screens because it's not making money, but it still is making money. So, like, I don't need fucking Melania to be on my theater screen when there's a fucking James Cameron movie that they could be playing. So it was still projected to make 1.5, and it still is, I think, but it's been pulled from a lot of theaters. It's really not playing anymore. It was like mid-February they started pulling it and doing less showtimes. They waited until mid-March for Way of Water to pull any theaters. So people are you saying, it has another 30 million? That was 15 days ago. Now it needs, it was just 20 million. Yeah, now it just needs 20 million. So we'll see. But I just think that it's a symptom of people going to the movies less. It is the third one. COVID messed up a lot of long time theater watching. I think, Way of Water did really, really well. Like in 2022, the movies were back. Like that was like big. It was like the end of 2021 with Far From Home coming out, and then all of 2022. So it's, and also like everyone does complain about things being expensive. That is a factor. I don't think movie theaters are expensive. I don't think tickets are expensive. That is not the problem. I think the problem is one of the problems is everything is expensive. So a lot of people are gonna go, oh, it's just a whole nother Avatar movie. Despite it really changing stuff up, and it continues Way of Water, man, in just an amazing way. Even if, again, I feel like the ending could have been better and would have helped maybe the reviews and then potentially helped the box office numbers. But, I mean, this is all to say, but the box office is not the primary thing. I mean, Cameron obviously does care about that a little bit, but the movie stands on its own. In 100 years, how much money it made will not matter. But then you have people here, man, honestly, hopefully it finally signals Cameron to move on to other projects. First movie was fine, but this being a series has, okay, so it robbed us of Cameron's creative potential for the past, 10 years or however long this shit's been going on. So, yeah, see, people absolutely misunderstand what Cameron is trying to do here. Like, Cameron is not trying to make another generic action movie for you to watch once and then forget about it, which people do say is the case with Avatar, but you look at the numbers, people rewatch Avatar. It is one of their repeat viewings. These movies do not get to $1 billion without having repeat viewings, without people telling their friends and family, dragging their friends, you have to see this movie. You have to see Avatar. You have to see it in 3D. That's how these movies make money. You don't just snap your fingers and have everybody fall in love with your movie. Cameron really takes the time for these things, and coolest guy right here. Thank God there's someone with without a nail in their head. This series is his creative potential. This has been his passion project since like the 90s at minimum. People need to give up on this notion that Avatar has distracted Cameron from his true passion or anything like that. His entire career has been building up to this. Yeah, he had a dream about Pandora, like this guy said. You got people rebutting like it isn't his potential. Way of Water is at least top 3 movies of his objectively. Like, that movie is, Fire and Ash is really, really good. You can see his fingerprints on that movie, absolutely. But Way of Water, to me, is like the capstone of his career. It embodies everything he stands for as a director, politically. I mean, it also has him as an older Cameron because, it's about fatherhood, and he's even said he sees himself in each one of the characters. Like, he's been Neytiri, struggling in a new place. He's been Jake struggling with balancing, raising his two sons, raising them differently, but also caring for them, seeing them. He's seen himself as a rebellious child. And then you have other people, basic rehash of the story, third high. See, I really thought that he just assumed it would be, yeah, that's not what he assumed. He does not give a fuck about how much money the movie makes. Like, he does if he wants to make 4 and 5, sure. But, like, do you really think that he's losing sleep over it almost not crossing 2 billion? Like, this movie has already made money. Like, he made this to get his message out and to continue his message in new ways. And he's saying new things. Absolutely. He's talking about guns and the fire and ash of grief in this newest movie. It wasn't a good movie. Now, instead of 4, 5, and 6, he's saying we get a realistic ending. It's just, these guys are just all spewing bullshit. Like, they're not arguing in good faith. I absolutely think that we need 4 and 5. And then, of course, this guy's hating on Way of Water. Comparing it to Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, that is absolutely an insane comparison. Rise of Skywalker was always going to make $1 billion. Fire and Ash had to earn its money. Like, this was not a movie they just crapped out. They filmed 2 movies at the same time, released them within 3 years of each other, and with every minute refinement from Cameron. It's just not an applicable thing. And we do need 4 and 5, I think. Not for Cameron to make more money, but because they have set up so much stuff, and they leave Quaritch open-ended. He's even recently talked about Varang You know, he wants to bring Varang back. There is so much they could do. He's talked about going back to Earth. I mean, the gloves are really, really off. The potential is, you know, I would absolutely watch Avatar 4 in 5 or 6 years. I really, really hope that it would be more streamlined, like he said, and it would be easier for them to film it. Um, but I we just have to see those movies. You know, people, these are escapism movies to get back with nature and connect to nature. We absolutely need these movies. And, you know, I had to rip into some of these guys, like, in all their bad takes. But thank you so much for listening. I know this was a bit of a longer one. And stay tuned for more movies, Tag Pro, Tom Cruise, Avatar. You know the deal. Thank you so much.